The rainforest hung heavy around me, a cloak of tangled green that swallowed every sound, every sense. It was the kind of silence that fills your ears with its absence, making your heart pound in protest. I was lost, deep within a world that seemed to grow more foreign with each step. My compass was gone, swallowed by the same voracious undergrowth that now threatened to consume me. Rain drummed relentlessly, a ceaseless percussion that merged with the rush of distant waterfalls. Every step was a struggle, my boots sinking into the muddy earth with a sickening squelch. My clothes clung to me, drenched and heavy. Panic threatened to claw its way up my throat, but I swallowed it down, focusing on each breath, each step. Hours turned into days, or maybe it was only minutes. Time lost all meaning in that suffocating labyrinth. I battled the elements, wrestling with the relentless downpour and the merciless terrain. It was a dance with nature, a dance I was slowly losing. Night was the cruelest part. The forest transformed, becoming a living nightmare. Shadows stretched and twisted, concealing things that slithered and slunk through the underbrush. My skin prickled with a sense of unseen eyes, and every rustle of leaves sent my heart into a frantic gallop. I had never felt so utterly alone. The forest seemed to mock my struggle, the density of the foliage pressing in, a suffocating embrace. It was a place that demanded respect, a place that could swallow you whole without a second thought. And then, just as despair was about to pull me under, I heard it, a distant hum, like the murmur of a forgotten world. It was a lifeline, a promise that I wasn't entirely alone. I followed that sound like a siren's call, stumbling forward with a desperate determination. The forest began to thin, a sign that I was nearing an edge, but I was no closer to knowing where I was. And then, like a revelation, I stumbled upon it, an ancient ruin, choked with vines and moss, the remnants of a forgotten civilization, swallowed by the very wilderness that now threatened to consume me. It was there, in the heart of that eerie sanctuary, that I found something that would forever change the course of my existence. A weathered journal, its pages filled with the frantic scrawl of a lost soul. The words leaped from the page, a desperate plea for salvation, a chronicle of survival against insurmountable odds. As I read, I felt a strange kinship with the writer. We were kindred spirits, both swallowed by the same unforgiving wilderness, both fighting for our lives. The journal became my guide, a roadmap through the tangled labyrinth that had become my prison. Days turned into weeks, and with each passing moment, I felt the forest's grip on me loosen. I became one with the wild, learning its secrets, its rhythms. I navigated the treacherous terrain with a newfound confidence, my senses attuned to the subtlest shifts in the world around me. And then, one fateful morning, as the sun pierced through the canopy in golden shards, I heard it, a distant rumble like thunder on the horizon. It was the promise of salvation, the hope I had clung to for so long. I raced towards the sound, my heart pounding in my chest. The forest seemed to part before me, as if sensing my urgency. And then there it was, a narrow clearing, bathed in the soft glow of dawn, and beyond it a river wide and teeming with life. A boat, weathered but sturdy, was tethered to the bank, a beacon of hope in that untamed world. Tears pricked at my eyes as I stumbled towards it, my fingers trembling as they brushed against the warm wood. I was saved. As I sailed away from that haunting wilderness, I couldn't help but look back one last time, a mixture of gratitude and sorrow welling within me. I owed my life to that unforgiving expanse, to the writer of that journal, who had become my silent guide. And then, just as I turned away, my eyes caught something, a glint of metal half buried in the earth. I knelt down, fingers digging into the soil, and unearthed the rusted compass. It was a cruel twist of fate, a reminder of how close I had come to losing myself entirely. As the boat carried me towards civilization, I couldn't shake the feeling that a part of me would forever remain within those ancient woods. They had tested me, broken me, and ultimately reshaped me. I was no longer the person who had ventured in, wide-eyed and naive. I was a survivor, forged in the crucible of the wild. And as I looked out at the receding rainforest, a newfound respect etched into my very soul. I couldn't help but wonder how many others had been claimed by those unforgiving depths, their stories lost to time. How many had fought and fallen, their voices swallowed by the relentless march of nature. It was a thought that would haunt me, a reminder that even in the face of the wild, we are never truly alone. We are bound by the stories of those who came before, by the indomitable spirit that drives us to defy the odds and emerge from the darkness, changed but undeniably alive. I never thought I'd find myself in this godforsaken place, tangled in the merciless embrace of the Amazon. The air was heavy with humidity, suffocating yet alive with the hum of unseen creatures. It was a symphony of wild, a relentless cacophony that seemed to mock my futile attempts to find a way out. The foliage closed in around me, an impenetrable wall of green that seemed to stretch on forever. Every step was a battle against the tangled underbrush, the earth giving way beneath my feet. My heart pounded in my chest, a frantic rhythm that echoed the panic swirling within me. Night descended like a shroud, casting the forest into a realm of shifting shadows and unseen threats. I could feel eyes on me, a silent audience hidden within the depths of the wilderness. It was a place that demanded respect, a place where survival was not guaranteed. I found a small clearing and huddled there, the dampness seeping through my clothes, the cacophony of the night pressing in on all sides. Fear clawed at my chest, threatening to consume me. I closed my eyes, praying for morning, for a reprieve from the suffocating darkness. Then the silence shattered. A chorus of guttural voices, foreign and menacing, pierced through the night. My heart leaped into my throat, every muscle tensing with the primal instinct to flee. They emerged from the shadows, figures draped in tattered cloth and adorned with bone and feather. My mind raced, searching for a way out, but they surrounded me, their eyes gleaming with a malevolent intensity. They spoke in a language that was as foreign to me as the stars that hum above. Panic surged through me, drowning out reason. They bound my hands, their touch like ice against my skin. My breath came in rapt gasps, my thoughts a chaotic jumble. They led me deeper into the forest, each step a cruel reminder of my helplessness. I was at their mercy, a pawn in a game I didn't understand. They took me to a hidden village, a collection of huts woven from leaves and branches. The air hung heavy with the acrid scent of smoke, and the flicker of firelight danced across the faces of the tribe's people. They chanted in a haunting rhythm, their voices rising and falling like the pulse of the forest itself. I was thrust into the center of the village, a captive audience to a ritual I couldn't comprehend. They moved with a fluid grace, their movements a strange juxtaposition to the brutality of their actions. They spoke in urgent tones, their gestures punctuated by the glint of sharpened blades. Fear coursed through me, a relentless tide that threatened to drown my senses. I was trapped, a witness to a nightmare I couldn't escape. My mind raced, searching for a way out, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. And then, just as I felt the weight of despair settle upon me, a piercing scream shattered the night. The villagers turned, their faces contorted in shock and horror. I followed their gaze, my heart pounding in my chest. A creature, monstrous and grotesque, emerged from the shadows. Its form was a grotesque fusion of man and beast, its eyes burning with a feral intensity. It moved with an unnatural grace, a predator in its element. The tribespeople fell to their knees, their voices rising in a chorus of terror. The creature advanced, its gaze fixed on me. It spoke in a voice that echoed through the clearing, a guttural sound that seemed to vibrate in my bones. And then, in a moment of surreal clarity, I understood. The creature was not my captor, but my savior. It had come to free me from the clutches of the tribe, to rescue me from the depths of the Amazon. With a swift and brutal efficiency, it dispatched the tribe's people, their cries of agony echoing through the night. I watched in stunned silence, a witness to a violence that seemed both brutal and inevitable. And then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the creature turned and vanished into the darkness. I was left alone in the clearing, the echoes of the night still ringing in my ears. The forest seemed to close in around me, the shadows retreating in the wake of the creature's fury. I was free, but the price of my freedom was etched into the very earth beneath my feet. As I stumbled through the tangled underbrush, my senses reeling, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had witnessed something beyond human understanding. The Amazon was a place of ancient secrets, a realm where the boundaries between reality and nightmare blurred. And as I emerged from that haunted forest, my feet finding solid ground once more, I couldn't help but wonder how many others had ventured into those depths, never to return. The wilderness held mysteries that defied explanation, and I was just another chapter in its unforgiving tale. The snow-clad forest stretched out before me, a frozen expanse that seemed to swallow everything in its icy embrace. The biting wind gnawed at my skin, and each step felt like a battle against the relentless cold. I was alone, abandoned by my family in this unforgiving wilderness. I had lost track of time, days bleeding into nights, in a blur of white and grey. The crunch of snow beneath my boots was the only sound, a stark reminder of my solitude. Hunger gnawed at my insides, a relentless companion that seemed determined to consume me from the inside out. My breath hung in the air, a ghostly plume that vanished into the frigid air. Every inhale felt like knives in my lungs, a reminder of just how fragile my existence had become. I trudged on, each step a laborious effort, my legs heavy and uncooperative. The trees loomed like ancient sentinels, their skeletal branches reaching out as if eager to claim me. Shadows danced amidst the trunks, their movements a sinister ballet. It was a landscape that seemed frozen in time, a place untouched by humanity. As night descended, the forest transformed, becoming an alien world of shifting shapes and eerie silhouettes. My heart pounded in my chest, the isolation pressing in from all sides. It was a silence so complete, it felt like a suffocating weight on my chest. I huddled in a makeshift shelter of snow and branches, clutching my meager supplies. The darkness seemed to seep through the cracks, a palpable presence that whispered of unseen horrors. My mind played tricks on me, conjuring phantom sounds and imagined threats. In the depths of that frozen night, I found myself teetering on the precipice of despair. The cold had seeped into my bones, a relentless ache that seemed to sap what little strength remained. I closed my eyes, praying for morning, for a reprieve from the merciless cold. And then, just as the first light of dawn painted the horizon, I heard it, a distant shout, a chorus of voices carried by the wind. It was a sound that pierced through the suffocating silence, a beacon of hope in that desolate wilderness. Tears welled in my eyes as I stumbled towards the source of the sound, my voice a hoarse cry of relief. They had come for me. My rescuers emerged from the snow-laden trees, their figures a surreal vision against the stark backdrop. They enveloped me in warmth and safety, their words a soothing balm to my battered soul. As they led me back through the forest, I couldn't help but steal glances over my shoulder, a mixture of gratitude and farewell. The trees seemed to stand a little less foreboding, their branches now touched by the gentle light of day. It was a place that had tested me, broken me, but ultimately it was a place that had given me a chance to fight for survival. And then, just as I thought my ordeal was over, I felt a hand on my shoulder, a gentle but firm grip. I turned to see the leader of the search team. his eyes filled with a mixture of concern and something else, something I couldn't quite place. He leaned in close, his voice barely above a whisper. "You're lucky we found you when we did. There have been reports of something unnatural in these woods, people disappearing without a trace." My heart quickened, a chill coursing down my spine. I tried to shake off his words, to dismiss them as the product of an overactive imagination, but the look in his eyes told me he believed every word. As we emerged from the forest, leaving behind the snow-covered expanse, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had narrowly escaped something far more sinister than hunger and cold. The wilderness had held secrets, ancient and malevolent, and I had ventured dangerously close to their grasp. I glanced back one last time, the trees standing sentinel, their branches swaying in a phantom breeze. It was a place of beauty and terror, a place where survival was not guaranteed, and where the line between reality and nightmare blurred. And as I stepped away from that haunted forest, my feet finding solid ground once more, I couldn't help but wonder how many others had met a different fate within those unforgiving depths. How many had ventured in, never to return, their stories swallowed by the relentless march of winter. It was a thought that would haunt me, a reminder that even in the face of the wild, there are forces beyond our understanding, lurking in the shadows, waiting for a moment of vulnerability to strike. The wilderness may have tested me, but it was that final revelation that left me truly shaken, a survivor with a newfound respect for the untamed world.